Find the matrix product negative 1, 3, 4h multiplied by k, 5. We need to understand that matrices are read row by row. And as such, when reading the first matrix, we read the first row first. Then we will read the second row. Notice that there's no pause in mentioning the elements in the first row, but there's a pause going to the second. So we have negative 1, 3, 4h. For the second matrix, which is a column matrix, we have one single column, but we have two rows. We will therefore read this as the first row, which contains only k, and the second row, which contains only 5. Therefore, there's a pause between the k and the 5. So we have k, 5. In finding any matrix product, we will multiply the rows of the first matrix by the columns of the second matrix. Multiply the rows of the first by the columns of the second. We will begin with the first row of the first matrix. And of course, we are always using something to highlight what we are doing, or an indicator. There we have the indicator, which is an arrow. On this occasion, the first row is negative 1, 3, and then that will multiply the single column. There is only one column which will be multiplied by each row in turn. This matrix, the second one, has only one column. Therefore, we will multiply that single column by each of the rows. We will begin with the first row. Row by column. The first element in the row will go with the first element in the column. The second element in the row will go with the second element in the column. There we have it. Negative 1 with k, and that will be added to 3 with 5. Let us do that again. Negative 1 with k will be added to 3 will go with that 5. So it is going to be 3 5s. Negative 1k plus 3 5s. So we'll move merrily to the second row. The second row will now multiply the single column. There's only one column. We're going to move to the second row that will multiply the single column. And it is row by column as usual. The first in the first row will go with the first in the column. The second in the row will go with the second in the column. So 4 will go with k, and that will be added to h with 5, which is going to be h times 5, and we know that to be 5h. In simplifying the first element, we will lead off with the positive term. Now we have negative 1 times k, which is negative k, and 3 5s 15. We could have written negative k plus 15. Placing the positive 1 first, we just have 15 minus k. It is just another way of writing the same thing. And mathematicians usually prefer not to begin an algebraic statement or even any other arithmetic statement with a negative quantity unless we have to do so. There we have the simplification of the second element. The simplification of the second element is by no means mysterious. All that we have there is the 4 times the k will give you 4k, and the h times the 5 will give you 5h. Some students will write h5. If you write h5, that is not incorrect. But for the intents and purposes of algebra, the number, which is called the coefficient, is written first. Then we'll have the letters and symbols following. Now what will happen is that the first element will take its place in the matrix which represents the product, and the second element will take its place also. So notice that we have this one will go in this position and this one in the second position. The result will turn out to be a column matrix. This has kind of a cumbersome look, but this is just one element and this is one. Therefore, what we have here is a column matrix. And we might take a look at the reason for it being a column matrix in a short while. But as it stands, there we have the completed matrix product. The matrix product will be the column matrix 15 minus k, 4k plus 5h. Download Richard James Mathematics Resources app from the Google Play Store and have all of your examination solutions, instructional manuals, and other electronic books and booklets in one place. Also, have all of our products and services at your fingertips and on the go. Call or WhatsApp 876-351-9689 or 876-318-8848 for all hard copy books and booklets to complement your studies. Significant discounts will be given to everyone who is registered with any of our programs.